Get ready with me for a bonfire. We're going to be talking about Daniel 3 and 4. The three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So, King Nebuchadnezzar was in charge, and he was the king of this time. And he had three people overseeing with Daniel named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Mind you, these boys were appointed because of Daniel's recommendation, but appointed by King Nebuchadnezzar himself. I don't know what got into the king, but he decides to build this gold statue and says, when the music plays, it don't matter what music it is, what instrument it is, when music plays, you need to bow down and worship it. He even went so far as to say, and if you don't worship it, you will be thrown into the blazing furnace. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they believed in God, the one God. And so when Nebuchadnezzar sent out this decree, they were like, oh, he's not talking to me. That's for y'all, because I'm not doing that. Other workers of the kingdom was like, didn't you say that they need to bow down when the music plays to your statue? Nebuchadnezzar was like, yes. And didn't you also say that if they don't, they would be thrown into a fiery furnace? Nebuchadnezzar again is like, yes, what's your point? Then they're like, well, there's these three Jews, you know them, you may know them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they just will not bow down to your God. They just do not hold you in any regard. They don't care about what you say or how you did it, and you put them in charge. So this made Nebuchadnezzar feel some type of way, because he's like, wait, who don't think I'm good enough to bow down to their God? Like, who are these people? Like, who do they think they are, disregarding me as a king? Nebuchadnezzar is just like, who is this that says they don't want to worship my statues? And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are like, it's me. I'm not worshiping him. That really made him mad, because it's just like, in my face, you're going to tell me that you're not going to worship the God that I have placed before you? Nah, wrap it up. Nebuchadnezzar said, you know what? I'm a fair king. I'm going to give you one more chance to bow down. I'm gonna play some music and y'all just do what y'all already know y'all need to do. But if you don't, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw you in the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, oh, I'm not bowing down, so that's fine. If you throw me in the furnace, the God that I serve will save me. And you know what? And even if he doesn't, I will never bow down to your God. To know what happened next, that King Nebuchadnezzar and his own boys, because he's just like, how dare you insinuate there is another God beside me? Like, how dare you insinuate I'm not good enough to bow down to? He was very mad. King Nebuchadnezzar was just like, you know what? Go ahead and throw him in the fiery furnace. And not only that, make it 7 times hotter. And then he got some strong men, some of the strongest men, to come and tie them up so that they would not come out of their shackles, as if they were going to make it in the fiery furnace, but just in case, so they could not come out of their shackles once they were thrown in. And I feel like the Bible emphasized this part just to show how incredible the next part was. But we'll get into that. So picture 3 men fully dressed in pants, turbans, shirts, tied up and thrown into a furnace that is 7 times hotter than the usual. They should have burned up before they even got in the fire. But so King Nebuchadnezzar has them thrown into the furnace, and it is so hot, the people that threw them in actually died. They just threw them in and began to wait. Do you see that? That is beautiful. My first time trying this foundation. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are securely tied and thrown into the furnace. When King Nebuchadnezzar says, now wait a minute. Didn't we throw just 3 people into the fire? And one of his workers says, yes, we just threw the 3 boys in there. Okay, well, why is there 4 people in there walking around free? And so King Nebuchadnezzar comes to the door as close as he could to the furnace, because you know he made it 7 times hotter. He says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out. All the officials and governors and even the king realized they didn't even look scorched by the fire, baby. They didn't even come out smelling of smoke. Then the king said, wow, like, all hail to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because he sent his angels to protect his servants. I've seen no other God like this. So here is my decree. You should only worship Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's God because he is clearly the only one true God. And if you're not going to worship him, you're dead. So see, a lot of times we as believers think God comes to rescue us for us. The miracle is never for the believer. It's for the non-believer. We should already know God is going to come through on our behalf. And you know, sometimes walking by faith can be very lonely. I mean, think about it. Of everyone, they chose not to bow down. And they were the ones who were picked apart for not bowing down. So following God is a very lonely walk. They were afraid of dying, but they were probably more fearful of God. People won't understand why you still have faith when going through the fire. And they will never understand. But it's part of the growing process. They won't understand how you made it through the divorce. They won't understand how you made it through the job loss. They won't understand how you keep the faith and keep the peace in your fire, in the fiery furnace. They don't understand that, yes, although the fire is painful, the fiery furnace is painful, it's all part of the refining process that is ultimately going to go with God's plan for you. And also, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego understood what their God could do. They had faith that God could do it. But they understood that even if God chose not to save them, that didn't change who God was. So just because God chooses not to change your situation or hasn't yet, doesn't change God's faithfulness and God's goodness. And just to reiterate, and I'm going to hold your hand while I say this, you are not special. God's plan is bigger than just you. He will not just save you just to save you. He's going to save others in the process. King Nebuchadnezzar went from, in the beginning, the God you serve and, you know, you need to serve my God, to showing reverence to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's God. Because of their faith, he got to experience God, God's miracles, God's goodness, God's grace firsthand. And from that experience, brought him in. I want to go back to the guards that threw them in. So it said that he got the strongest guards to tie them up. But do you how many of y'all know that not even the strongest forces can keep God from protecting you or fulfilling his plan in your life? And do you know they were willing to risk their lives just to see the downfall of God's people? It'll be like that. People will die just to see you not make it. But the thing is, here's the catch. You won't even come out smelling like smoke. So all that to say, you never know who's watching you. And you never know who is preying on your downfall. But you have to remember God is ultimately in control. And also, don't be afraid to be courageous for God's glory. Don't allow fear to dictate your decisions, but allow the fear of God to direct your paths. Have a good one. Bye.